She still cooked my favorite meals. Still folded my shirts like she loved me. But one night, she said good night and her voice cracked. Just for a second. It was the kind of crack you almost don't hear. But once you do, you can't unhear it. It crawls back through every memory and infects them, turns softness into suspicion. We used to joke about routines. That we were an old couple in young bodies. Dinner at 7, tea at 9. Irina always in slippers lighting that cinnamon candle by the sink. Our rituals made us feel timeless. Safe. That night, something was different. The air felt tight. Like the house had taken a breath and forgot how to let it out. She laughed at my dumb joke too quickly. Like she'd practiced it. Laughter in the wrong tempo sounds like glass dropped on carpet. It doesn't shatter, but you know it broke. Her phone was on the table. Screen up. Unlocked. That alone made me still. She never left it like that. A notification popped up. Just a flicker. Vladislav Hotel. Then cleared. She moved faster than I'd ever seen her. A swipe, a sigh, a smile. Long day? I asked. She nodded too fast. Her eyes followed a beat too slow. Mismatch. I didn't press. But I noticed her tea was untouched. Still hot, untouched. Later, in bed, I reached for her hand. She let me. But she didn't squeeze back. The silence wasn't the kind we used to enjoy, full of shared peace and heartbeat sync. It was the kind you breathe around. Like smoke. At 2 a.m. I got up to get water. Her slippers were by the front door. Damp. Like she'd gone out. Come back in. Quietly. No coat missing, but her umbrella was gone. It hadn't rained. I didn't ask. Not then. But I wrote it down. I wrote it all down. Because forgetting would be worse. The next day, she kissed me goodbye like she always did, too lightly, her mouth landing near the corner of mine. My cheeks still smelled like her lip balm an hour later, and I hated that I checked. I checked. That night, she hummed in the kitchen off-key. Irina never hummed unless she was nervous. She said humming was something her mother did when she lied. I asked her what was wrong. She said nothing. Just tired. Her smile said otherwise. She made lasagna. My favorite. But forgot the basil. Irina never forgot the basil. It wasn't a mistake. It was absence. Like she was thinking of something else. Someone else. The next morning, I took her car to get gas. Her Bluetooth auto-connected not to my name but to a contact labeled M. The playlist was strange. Songs I didn't know. In French. One was playing when I turned the ignition. J-E-T-I menti. I looked it up later. It means I lied to you. That night I watched her brush her hair longer than usual. Slow, deliberate strokes. Not vanity ceremony. She went to bed early. Too early. I checked the closet. Her red coat was gone. But she told me she'd be home all weekend. Said she was exhausted from work. The red coat was for when she didn't want to be recognized. No one forgets a red coat. That's what she used to say. I waited. At midnight, I heard the back door click. Footsteps. 2 sets. One leaving. One returning. She was quiet coming up the stairs. Quiet like guilt, not like sleep. I closed my eyes. Pretended I was dreaming. But I wasn't. I was remembering the way she once whispered my name like it was something delicate. She hasn't said my name in 4 days. I haven't said hers since the hotel message. We eat breakfast in near silence now. I asked her if she was okay. She said yes. But the spoon trembled when she stirred her coffee. And her smile, it didn't reach her eyes. I've stopped asking. I've started watching. And writing. And waiting. Because something's coming. I can feel it. Like thunder before the rain. Like a dream you can't wake from. I don't know what I'll do when I find out the truth. But I know I'll never unhear her voice cracking when she said goodnight. It wasn't rage that made me start keeping records. It was the need to make sense of something that felt like fog. A fog that smelled faintly of cardamom, not cinnamon, and pressed close even when I was alone. 3 receipts. That's how it began. The first I found by accident. Her coat had slipped off the back of a chair, and when I lifted it, something crinkled. A paper triangle folded in half, thin and waxy. Lunaria Spa. Not near her office. Not near anything. I traced the address with my thumb. It was 40 minutes east, past the bridge she hated crossing. She'd told me she'd worked late that night. The second was in the kitchen trash. Tucked under a banana peel like it had been hidden in a rush. A receipt from a boutique bakery 2 towns over. Petite Folie. She always said croissants made her queasy, too buttery, too flaky. She'd once made fun of a coworker who ate them every morning, called it greasy elegance. But this one had 2 croissants. And a small coffee. Black. I drink mine with milk. The third made my fingers go numb. Hotel Vladislav. Again. 2 nights. Same week. Different rooms. 23 kilometers from home. Not a conference hotel. No events listed. No business floor. The logo was printed in gold foil. The date? Wednesday. She'd kissed me goodbye that morning. Worn her gray skirt. Said she had back-to-back meetings. She didn't lie about being tired when she came home. She collapsed on the couch and fell asleep with her makeup still on. I stared at her sleeping for almost 20 minutes. Her chest rising, arms loose. Peaceful. Too peaceful. That night, I opened my laptop and created a folder. I named it Discrepancies. Not suspicions. Not lies. Discrepancies. It felt like data. Like facts. Like maybe I was just being organized. Precautionary. Sensible. I saved photos of the receipts. Logged the dates. Created tabs. One for timeline. One for unusual items. One just called other. I told myself it wasn't betrayal. Maybe she was seeing a grief counselor. Maybe she needed solitude she couldn't explain. Maybe there were aches she hadn't named yet. The part of me that loved her, really loved her, tried to build bridges across the gaps. But they kept collapsing. That same evening, she brought home 2 slices of lemon tart. Said they were from a bakery near her office. They reminded me of our honeymoon. But I'd seen the wrapper in her bag earlier, petite folie. She hated lemon tart. She watched me eat mine like she was memorizing my face. Then she smiled. I'm so glad we have this life together. And I noticed it, her bag. Still zipped shut. The one she always opens when she gets home. Always. It stayed zipped through dinner. Through our quiet movie. Through bedtime. I stared at it like it was a sealed confession. Later that week, I checked the shared calendar on our fridge. She'd added an appointment. Just one word, wellness. I circled it. Physically with a red pen. Like that would make it more real. She started humming again in the mornings. Off-key. Tuneless. But consistent. The same way her mother used to hum when her father was drunk. I found a second spa receipt in the laundry room. Same place. New treatment. Couples session. That one I folded into a page protector. By then, I'd bought dividers for the folder. There was something soothing about the way it clicked shut. A sound I could control. I didn't ask questions. Not directly. I started phrasing things gently like I already knew the answer. Oh, was the spa nice? Her eyes blinked too fast. What spa? I let the silence answer. By midweek, she stopped leaving her phone on the counter. She carried it like a limb. Even in the shower. But she still kissed me goodbye. Still said she loved me. Still left crumbs in the toaster and her earrings in the sink. And yet, the house felt emptier every time she closed the door. That Friday, I stayed home from work. Told her I had a fever. She looked disappointed for a second. Just a flicker. Then she kissed my forehead and left. I watched from the upstairs window as she drove away. 10 minutes later, a notification pinged on our shared tablet. Uber pickup confirmed, Vladislav Hotel. I added the screenshot to the folder. The red tab. The one labeled, proof pending. It was just a photo. One I'd seen 100 times. But now I couldn't unsee it. Her smile in that picture, it was the same smile she gave me. And him. The fridge clicked open. I reached for milk, barely awake. The cold spilled out in a quiet gust and the photo strip fluttered. 3 images. Me. Irina. The lake house. Summer light leaking through the trees. Her head tilted onto mine like she always did. But the third photo, that one stopped me. She was laughing. Not smiling, laughing. Mouth open, eyes lit, joy bursting through. But she wasn't looking at me. And I wasn't looking at her. I was mid-blink. My expression blurred a half-second before awareness. I didn't say anything funny that day. I pulled the photo from under the strawberry magnet. Held it up. The edges curled slightly. The ink faded. On the back, in blue pen, August 17th. That date rang hollow. I checked my phone. Calendar from last year. I was in Berlin. 3 days. Conference. Receipts, flight records, hotel emails, all in the folder. She told me that photo was a self-timer. Said she'd printed it as a surprise. But now I saw it, the blouse. Pale blue, with tiny embroidered stars. She'd worn it once in May. Then said it was lost at the dry cleaner. And the necklace, a thin gold chain with a single amber bead. Her grandmother's, she said. Claimed it slipped down a drain. She wore them both in this photo. I stared at her smile. Gentle. Practiced. Slightly parted lips. Like she was being watched by someone who mattered. Someone else. I placed the photo on the counter. Stepped back. The fridge buzzed. Too loud. Or maybe I just noticed it now. The buzzing filled the silence. Or replaced it. That evening I asked her about the photo again. Softly. No accusations. She smiled. Which one? The lake house strip. She leaned into the counter. Oh, that one. You looked so handsome. I remember taking it after breakfast. Remember the toast you burnt? I nodded. But I hadn't made toast that weekend. I was 1,200 kilometers away. I almost asked again. But her hands were shaking slightly as she stirred her tea. Just a tremor. Barely visible. So I said nothing. Later, I checked her social media from that time. No posts. Just a gap. But her GPS data synced from the old shared app. It showed a location ping. Twice. Near a forest cabin. Not our lake house. A different one. I didn't recognize the address. But the name Vesna Retreat matched a pin I'd seen once on her maps. Hidden under wellness spots. I screenshotted the GPS log. Saved it in the folder. Section, False Memories. She kissed me goodnight that night. And I stared at her lips. Same curve. Same angle. I wondered how many men had seen that same smile and believed it meant something only for them. I woke at 4 a.m. to use the bathroom. The hallway was cold. Her phone screen lit up on the nightstand. No sound. Just a glow. A message preview. I didn't catch the name. Just the words made me think of you. August. August. I didn't wake her. I stood there watching her sleep. Her back to me. Arms folded inward. Dreaming. The photo was still on the counter in the morning. She didn't ask about it. But she did take it. I found the strawberry magnet in the sink. She'd thrown the photo away. Not ripped. Not burned. Just gone. And suddenly everything felt curated. Her laugh, her tea, her choice of sleepwear. Like a museum of intimacy arranged for effect. Like I was walking through a memory she no longer believed in. I opened the folder again. Started a new section. Titled, Duplicated Smiles. If she was going to lie with precision, I would watch with precision. Not to catch her. To see her. Really see her the way you only can when the illusion starts to break. I began small. Left for work 5 minutes later. No reason. Just to see. Would she ask why? Would she glance at the clock? She didn't. She kept stirring her tea 3 clockwise, 1 counter. Her routine untouched. I stopped answering her texts right away. Let them sit. Sometimes I watched the read receipt go gray again. Her replies got shorter. Then they stopped having punctuation. I moved the folder. It no longer lived in the desk drawer behind the batteries. Too exposed. Too honest. Now it lived under the loose floorboard in the hallway closet. Wrapped in a manila envelope taped shut. Labeled, Taxes 2019. Neutral. Forgotten. Like trust. She stopped asking about my day. Or my meetings. Or what I wanted for dinner. There was a time when her questions annoyed me too often. Now the silence stung. A hole where something should be. She smiled at me over the lasagna, but it didn't reach her hands. She used to serve me first. Now she waited. One morning, I told her I had a dentist appointment. I didn't. I watched her leave the house in her gray coat. Hair pulled back. Casual. Innocent. I followed 2 cars behind. My heart didn't race. Not anymore. This wasn't adrenaline. It was observation. She took the long way. Not her usual route. No traffic. No detours. She didn't go to work. She turned left instead of right. Pulled into a small street lined with trees that didn't grow here naturally. Stopped in front of a boutique floral shop. Hyacinth in bloom. I parked across the street. Waited. She was inside for 15 minutes. When she came out, she wasn't carrying anything. No flowers. No bag. Just a lightness in her step I hadn't seen in years. The kind of lightness people carry when they've just told the truth. Or been held. I lifted my phone. Took a photo. Not for evidence. For clarity. To remind myself this wasn't a dream. That it was her. That I hadn't invented this. She looked younger in the sunlight. Her coat swayed gently. And she smiled at the florist before walking away. I didn't follow her after that. I let her go. She came home that night smelling like rain. Kissed me on the cheek. Said, "You're quiet today." I smiled. "So are you," I said. She blinked. Like she didn't know what I meant. But she didn't ask. We ate dinner in near silence. The kind that used to feel comfortable. Now it pulsed. That night, I added the photo to the folder. Filed under, May 12th, movement. The next morning, she wore the same coat again. Spritzed her neck with perfume I hadn't smelled in years. Then she hugged me. Tight. Unexpected. I stood still in her arms. Because sometimes the most alarming thing is not when someone stops lying, but when they remember how to pretend perfectly again. It wasn't a love note. Not a message. Not even a name. It was a government form. And on it she had already buried me. I wasn't looking for anything that day. Just filing documents, flipping through old folders. Searching for our tax number for something normal. Something harmless. The envelope was thin. No return label. Unsealed. It slid out like it didn't want to be found. Just one page. Light blue ink. Standard typeface. Pension verification. Widow status. Applicant. Irina. Marital name, mine. Status. Widowed. Date of spouse's death. Left blank. Signature. Familiar. Slanted. Not hers. Not mine. Stamped. Dated. 6 months ago. My breath didn't catch. My hands didn't shake. That's what scared me. I wasn't panicked. I was calm. Like the moment you realize the house fire's too far gone to save the photo albums. No address listed. Just our street name. And that signature, I'd seen it before. On old birthday cards. A cousin of hers. Maybe an uncle. Someone she hadn't spoken of in years. Someone I thought was dead. I sat at the table for almost an hour. The paper in front of me. The light catching on the crease like a blade. I didn't add it to the folder. I didn't scan it. This one wasn't evidence. It was prophecy. That night, I left the form on the counter. Laid flat. Like a plate. When she walked in, I didn't speak. Just pointed to it with my eyes. She read it. Once. Slowly. Her face didn't fall. It didn't twist. She didn't gasp or flinch. She looked at me. Then at the paper. Then down again. It's not what you think, she said. The room went still. The walls inhaled. But what else could it be? You listed yourself as a widow, I said. My voice was steady. I didn't know I had it in me. She took a breath. Sat down. Folded her hands. It's bureaucratic. For an account. I needed to access something. They asked for status. It was a workaround. My eyes didn't move from her. She continued. It wasn't real. It's not legal. It was just for. The stamp's real, I said. Silence. Then softly. I had help. From who? She didn't say. She reached for the paper. I didn't stop her. Her fingers grazed the edge like it might bite. Do you think I want to hurt you? She asked. I almost laughed. Almost. But what came out was worse. I think I don't know who you are anymore. Her eyes flashed. Not with guilt. Not with grief. But with something like relief. As if the mask had finally tired of its own weight. She didn't deny it. Not fully. Just looked at me like someone remembering a song they used to love, but no longer played. She stood. Walked upstairs. Slowly. The paper sat untouched. I folded it once. Put it in the folder. The last tab. I renamed it. In case of death. That night I couldn't sleep. The air felt thick. My own name foreign in my mouth. I lay beside her. Listening to the steady rhythm of someone who could sleep after erasing me. The next morning she made coffee. With sugar the way I liked it. Set it on the table. No words. As if to say, see? Still us. But I sipped it like a stranger. And tasted nothing. After that night she stopped lying. But she didn't tell the truth either. We just coexisted. Not with tension. Not even anger. Just silence. Worn in. Predictable. She didn't explain the form. I didn't press. We moved like ghosts through a house we used to live in. Familiar walls. Unfamiliar presence. Breakfast became a ritual of omission. I poured my own coffee. She didn't ask if I wanted toast. I stopped mentioning my meetings. She stopped pretending she cared. Felt like watching two actors walk off stage. But forget to remove their costumes. Still in character. Just without a script. Some mornings, I watched her through the kitchen window. Just breathing. Just existing. It hurt less than I expected. Like a bruise that stops aching but still changes how you walk. I scrolled through our old messages. Late one night. Grocery lists. Heart emojis. Don't forget the eggs. Photo of a cloudy sky she said reminded her of Iceland. Tiny threads. Trivial but warm. They stopped 5 months ago. Exactly. Right around the date stamped on the form. I didn't scroll further. I just stared. Then locked my phone. Put it face down like I used to find hers. One night, I stood outside our bedroom door. I don't know what I was waiting for. I didn't open it. Just listened. She wasn't asleep. Her breathing changed when I stepped near. She knew I was there, but she didn't say my name. The next day, I deleted every voicemail she'd ever left. The I love yous, the pick up milk ones, even the accidental pocket dials. I don't know why. Maybe to make space. Maybe to stop pretending I still needed the sound of her voice, when I already lived inside its echo. She made soup that evening. My favorite, or it used to be. I ate it slowly. She didn't watch me eat. We shared a couch, but not a blanket. Shared a room, but not air. The folder sat untouched in its hiding place. It had grown thick, heavy with context, but I stopped opening it. Not because I didn't care, but because I already knew how it ended. Not with a confession, not with proof, but with the quiet weight of things never said. We slept back to back that night. No words. No reach. The kind of stillness that isn't peace. Just two people too exhausted to finish unraveling. She whispered something once. I didn't catch it. Or maybe I did. And just didn't want to know. I didn't expect to meet him. But once I saw his face I knew. She hadn't just built another life. She'd erased mine to make room for it. It started with a name. Not hers. Not mine. Dmitry Ivanov. Written on a small white card. Florist branding stamped in silver. Tucked inside the pocket of her old coat. The one she never wore anymore. The handwriting was clean. Confident. Male. For the one who saved me. No initials. No clue. Just that line. And something in it made my pulse thrum low, steady. I didn't ask her about it. I didn't even flinch. Just folded the card in half and slid it into my jacket. That night, while she read a book on the couch or pretended to, I searched. Social media. Reverse lookups. Public property records. Quiet corners of the internet where people still leave breadcrumbs. He was real. Dmitry Ivanov. Mid-30s. Works in finance. A kind face, the kind that probably helps people at airports without being asked. Engaged. To a woman named Elena Petrova. There was a photo. Outside a small theater, brick facade, ivy-covered arch. Him. Her. Same smile. Same tilt of her head. Her hand looped through his arm. And the ring. Not the one I gave her. Thinner. Platinum. A blue stone. I stared at it for hours. At her smile. His arm. She looked lighter in that photo. Not younger. Just less held. Same woman. Different name. I clicked through his profile. Carefully. Slowly. Their trip to Prague. Their one-year anniversary. Comments from friends calling them a perfect match. The timestamps went back over a year. That night, I went for a walk. Didn't tell her. Didn't leave a note. Just walked out the door like a shadow finally slipping from its owner. It was cold. My ears burned. I walked to the theater. The one from the photo. Took 40 minutes. Maybe more. I didn't check. When I arrived, it was closed. Dark. Quiet. I stood outside. Same bricks. Same ivy. Same spot. I imagined her standing there. Smiling. Ring flashing under streetlight. Elena. Not Irina. As if she'd shed my version of her like an old coat. I didn't cry. I let the cold settle into my skin until I stopped noticing it. And I knew. She wasn't mine anymore. She hadn't been for a long time. Maybe not since the bakery receipt. Maybe not since the lake house photo. Or maybe she never was. Maybe I only ever loved the shape of her presence. Not the truth of it. I walked home slowly. Passed under the same flickering street lamp twice. Let myself forget which way was forward. When I got back, the house was quiet. Lights still on. Her book left open, spine up. She looked up. Smiled faintly. Long walk, she asked. I nodded. Took off my coat. She didn't ask where I went. And I didn't tell her. Because the question wasn't where I'd gone. It was where she'd gone. And how long she'd been gone. And how I never noticed the absence until I saw her filled in by someone else. He thought I was a delivery guy. When I said my name, he dropped his coffee. And for once, I wasn't the one who looked confused. I waited until the cafe was half empty. Late morning. Bright sun, dull sky. He sat by the window, back straight, reading something on his phone. Smiling. The kind of smile you don't fake, the kind that means hope. I approached the table. Slow. No adrenaline. Just a heartbeat and breath. Dmitry? He looked up. Friendly. Open. Yes. I pulled the envelope from my coat. Brown. Creased. heavy with context. Set it down gently on the table, like a check at the end of a long, unpaid meal. I'm her husband. He stared at me, at the envelope, then at the photo that slid halfway out. Our wedding. Me in a suit too stiff. Her in a dress she swore she didn't want to keep. Our names printed in the corner. His eyes moved slow. Too slow. No, she told me. Oh. I know what she told you, I said. My voice was calm. Calmer than I felt. She tells a lot of people a lot of things. He went pale. Then flushed. The kind of shame that doesn't know where to land. She said, you died. Cancer. 3 years ago. I nodded. The espresso machine hissed behind us. A barista wiped counters. None of them noticed the funeral playing out at table 6. I sat down. He didn't stop me. She lives with me, I said. Still does. He blinked like the air had changed pressure. No, she lives with me. Has for a. His words broke like cheap glass. I didn't reply. Just watched his face contort, process, unravel. He looked down at his hands. At the ring on his finger. Platinum. Thin. Blue stone. He turned it once. Slowly. She said she had no one, he whispered. Said her husband died during the pandemic. Said she couldn't talk about it. I didn't move. Let the words sit between us like unpaid rent. Do you love her? I asked. His head shot up. What? Do you love her? He didn't answer right away. Just swallowed. Yes, he said. Finally. Quietly. I looked past him, out the window. Birds. A bus stop. A girl tugging her mother's hand. She used to say that smile meant everything to her, I said. The one she wears in that photo. But now she gives it to strangers. He exhaled through his nose. She said you were violent. I smiled. Not from humor. From something colder. She said you saved her, didn't she? He nodded. Funny, I said. She told me the same about you. Only in reverse. The silence stretched. Why are you here? He finally asked. To see, I said. To know if the lie was better than the truth. I stood. Left the envelope on the table. She'll call it a misunderstanding. She'll tell you I'm bitter. Obsessive. That we separated years ago and I can't let go. His mouth opened. Closed. No sound. But now you know, I said. It's not just your story anymore. I walked out. Didn't look back. The sun was too bright. I let it hit me full in the face. And for the first time in months, I didn't feel like a ghost. Just a man who finally stepped into someone else's dream. And left fingerprints. She didn't cry. Neither did I. But the air between us felt like the final page of a book. Someone stopped reading. She knew the moment I came home. I didn't say a word. Didn't need to. She was at the kitchen table. Phone turned face down. Tea half drunk. The cinnamon candle unlit. She didn't flinch when I entered. Didn't pretend to smile. Just looked at me and said, so, you met him. I nodded once. Sat across from her. The table between us had never felt wider. You told him I died, I said. Her eyes didn't waver. Her voice didn't break. It was easier that way. The words landed like a fork dropped on a plate. I waited for guilt. Regret. A tremble. None came. The silence wasn't angry. It was used up. Like an empty glass on a dinner table after the guests have gone. Like a song paused and never resumed. I reached into my coat. Pulled out my house key. Slid it across the table. Not to leave. Not yet. But to mean something. She looked at it. Then at me. Her face unreadable. A practiced kind of stillness. Will you tell people? She asked. I shrugged. Depends if you keep pretending. She didn't answer. Didn't plead or explain. That was the worst part. Not the betrayal. Not the lies. But the quiet. The acceptance. She reached for the key. Touched it. Then pulled her hand away. Neither of us moved after that. The candle on the counter flickered slightly, though no flame had been lit. I stood first. Not dramatically. Not with finality. Just stood. She didn't follow me. Didn't call my name. I walked past the fridge. The photo strip was gone. Replaced by a postcard. A mountain. Snow-covered. Blank. The door clicked shut behind me. It wasn't goodbye. Not really. Just the moment we both stopped pretending. We had anything left to say. She taught me how to vanish. Not like she did. Into someone else's life. But into my own. I moved out 2 days later. No warning. No fight. Just a quiet load of boxes at dawn. She didn't wake up. Or if she did, she didn't come down. I left one thing behind. The photo from the fridge. The strip of 3. Placed it on the nightstand. Let her decide what it meant now. A memory. A warning. Or nothing. I rented a place near the train tracks. Single story. Peeling paint. Nothing fancy. But it had enough light. Enough silence. The landlord said I could paint if I wanted. So I did. Navy blue. Just one wall. Not because it matched anything, but because it didn't remind me of her. I changed my number. Told clients I was taking time off. They understood. I bought a journal. Opened to the first page. Wrote one line. I was never invisible. I was just too still to be seen. That was enough for the first day. Some mornings I sit by the window. Watch the trains pass. Feel them rumble through the floorboards. Heavy, deliberate. I don't think about what she's doing. Where she is. Whose name she uses now. I don't need to. She made me disappear. But I learned how to exist. Without being needed. And that somehow feels like freedom. Not the loud kind. Not the triumphant kind. Just the kind that comes when you stop asking questions that have already answered themselves. I don't hate her. I don't forgive her either. I simply remember her and keep going.